days at Fox may be numbered. But that hasn't stopped him from lashing out at Planned Parenthood and prostitutes on his radio show. Listen.
Stop just a second. Hookers? Who? Who depends on Planned Parenthood? I've got 400 abortions that I have to have. I have to have these children aborted.
He's so sensitive. Fox is going to have trouble replacing Beck with someone just as well informed. Might I suggest the Yule log? With me now to discuss this and other political stories in the news are the comedians and stars of the off-Broadway show Laughing Liberally. It Ain't No Tea Party. John Fugelsang, Baratunde Thurston, and Nagin Farsad. Easy for you to say.
A white guy, a black guy, and a Muslim girl walk into a studio.
Comedy gold.
Okay, Baratunde, can I call you Ba?
No, you can call me Baratunde.
Okay, if you insist. All right, so now Beck says Planned Parenthood is only for hookers. Is this why he's being thrown out the window from Fox?
No, he's being thrown out the window because he's scared off more sponsors than Lindsay Lohan and Betty Ford. That's why he's being scared off. But no, in this specific case, he was going off on something Lawrence O'Donnell did on his show on the other network about a friend of his who was helped by Planned Parenthood with her breast cancer. Beck didn't listen to the whole soundbite. He just heard Lawrence O'Donnell tearing up reading this letter from a breast cancer survivor extolling Planned Parenthood and made it all about hookers, which is kind of funny because when I think hookers and Republicans, they both pretend to care about working class males. So I guess there's a pattern there somewhere.
What's really funny about that is actually just yesterday, Michelle Bachmann joined in on the fun and said that Planned Parenthood was like the lens crafters of big abortion, and I just thought,
why? Why? Because they have a lot of stuff, a lot of people that they service?
That they serve, you know, you're in and out in an hour, it's easy. I don't know what her metaphor was there, but I would have gone with like Walmart of big abortion or something like that. But I'm glad that Planned Parenthood has made them so poetic, I guess.
Yeah.
No one ever knows what Michelle Bachmann's metaphors are about, so don't feel bad.
That's true.
Even she doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, she doesn't.
But this is one of the reasons why, like, I'm proud to be part of a progressive comedy show, because no one's pro-abortion, and the Republican Party had 6 years controlling the White House, the House, and the Senate. When they could have defunded Planned Parenthood, they didn't feel like doing it. They're doing it now because they know it'll never get out of the House, and it's just going to be good for the base.
Well, you'll be happy to know that donations have surged for Planned Parenthood 500% since the Republicans threatened to cut federal funding from them.
And not one penny of taxpayer dollars.
Which, by the way, you know the Hyde Amendment prohibits any federal funding for abortion. We know that.
And they know that, too. They're playing games. First of all, here's a guy who's lost 300 sponsors and 30% of his audience. So he's just flailing about as he normally does anyway, but this is like an extreme version of Extreme Beck. He called Mary Landrieu a prostitute back during the health care debate when she got money for Louisiana.
The governor of Louisiana?
Yeah.
He's unbelievable.
So this is his go-to.
Hookers.
Like, he's got a women issue. Oh, must be a prostitute. Like, that's his thing.
Maybe it's his thing, prostitute.
Maybe we're learning a bit more about Crazy Beck.
If he was don't sue me,
no, we're just asking questions, which is okay.
Right.
Exactly.
If Glenn Beck was any more unbalanced, he'd be cubist and hanging in the Met.
By the way, abortions account for only 3% of Planned Parenthood's health services. Okay? I mean, really.
These are people who are pro-death penalty, pro-torture, pro-unmanned drone bombs, pro-preemptive war. Oh, pro-life. You know, give me a break.
But they also seem to be chipping away at Roe v. Wade all over the place when they can. I don't really want John Boner in my uterus. I'm just saying. Next up, today marks the 150th anniversary of the start of the Civil War, and a new poll shows that 1 in 4 Americans sympathizes more with the Confederacy than the Union.
So if these are the same Americans who demand we uphold the Constitution without ever having read it, then it makes perfect sense. Right? It turns out that if you actually look at the Civil War's history, a quarter of Union soldiers were from southern states. This whole idea that this was some kind of popular war, even in the South, is not true at all.
Well, a lot of people died. A lot of people. I think we lost more Americans in the Civil War than we did in any other war.
It was our bloodiest war. But again, these people who are supporting it now are the big patriots. And what could be more patriotic than quitting America because you want to keep people as pets? I mean, essentially, that's what it was about, right?
It's a celebration of traitors.
Yeah.
You know,
states' rights.
I don't know that it would have been so popular if they knew that the South would turn out to be a region that embraces truck nuts. You know what I mean? Like that's, I mean, I've seen some awesome things in the South and met some awesome people, but sometimes, you know, when you're driving around the region, you just see male genitals dangling off a bumper in front of you, and then you just wonder what's happening.
That's charming. You put that down, that should be at the MoMA.
Chicken fried anything, I'm willing to go to war for that. Like, that's what we got to do.
But, you know, it's interesting because 42% of the people polled said the war was fought over states' rights and not slavery. Do you buy that?
No, it's the right to keep people as livestock. That's the rights they're talking about.
It's all about money. It was all about the economy.
And if you look
at slavery was free.
This is again we have the most amazing tools to like look at history. We have all these books or digitize all this. We never look back. The Mississippi State Secession Charter, the first line is basically, we're doing this because of slavery. It's the most important institution in the world. You can't separate slavery, even though there were other issues. Slavery was at the centerpiece of. These were rich Southern men who not only oppressed black people, they oppressed poor white people who made up most of the population. And so the idea that we're empowering the people represented today want to go back to this time where they were more oppressed is a perfect representation of the Republican Party agenda today.
It's ironic, though, because poor white people, poor black people are the ones who are oppressed by the right wing in this country, but they don't seem to get that.
No, because they have Glenn Beck.
They vote against their own interests all the time.
Every time.
What's the matter with Kansas? That's what's that book is about.
This is nothing new, and I'm half Southern. I love the South. My family's down south. But I always say to people who love the Confederate flag, don't you want to be better than your ancestors? Don't you believe that that's our purpose?
And the answer is no.
But spiritually,
the answer is truck nuts.
Well, to me, displaying the Confederate flag is like displaying the picture of that chick you shacked up with while you were separated from your wife for a while.
Baby.
You know, it's like May Pang for John Lennon. You're better than that,
Sal. Let's move on to something else, because President Obama, whom, you know, I support, I love Obama. I think he's doing a fabulous job. He's not perfect, but I still think he's a very good president, and he's very, very bright. Only 37% of the liberal base strongly approve of his performance.
He's not liberal.
Are you guys turning on Obama?
No.
Okay.
President Obama went to Netroots Nation. You were there, and he said in his televised address, I want you guys to keep on my case and keep my feet to the fire. Some people are criticizing Obama because they want him to be reelected. Yeah, the guy caved on the public option and on the tax cuts. He's caved so many times. Like there's minors trapped inside of him. He's caved so many times.
Yeah.
But
I don't like the fact that he caved on the public option. I thought that was really giving in to them.
And
I have a girl who comes and helps me work out. She and her husband have no health insurance. How could that be? How could they not have health insurance?
How can we not have the same kind of health insurance our capitalist allies have in Europe?
Yeah, no, we spend more. And
they call that socialism.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but if you don't want to save American lives, stop calling yourself a patriot.
I don't think there's any shortage of liberals criticizing Obama at all. And I think some have really great legitimate reasons, and others don't necessarily know how to have nice things. Like, you also have to look at the great things that this president has done and appreciate that. Because I think if we are so focused, like you look at how the Republicans treat their people, there were a lot of people who weren't happy with Bush, but it wasn't fully out in the street all the time.
No,
and I think when you demoralize your own base,
but the Republicans, in fairness, are more organized. They're more together in lockstep.
They never say anything bad about their president. The guy was like vomiting on prime ministers, and the next day they were like, oh, well, that's just like a new tool we're using in international diplomacy.
But even Bush II, George II was spending money like Lindsay Lohan in Amsterdam, and they still didn't. No one cared. I mean, in the case of Obama, you know, we want to be hard on the guy, but at the same time, he never pretended to be a liberal. He's always been a moderate.
Well,
we think he's going to be FDR, but he's
the fact that he needs to get the middle on his side for the next election, and that may be where he's working, and maybe in the second term he'll really be radical left. Maybe.
I don't think you can govern with the idea that you'll do something different later.
Right? No, but a lot of guys do that.
You have to get reelected.
You do have to get reelected, but you also, when you have the power, and you have to use it, because you're not guaranteed that second opportunity. So if he gets it, and I really want to work hard to make sure he does.
Maybe he's headed.
You should hire us to be his advisors.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I gotta go, you guys. Thanks very much. It's hard to make jokes about him, though, isn't it? Still, as comedians,
he's not a buffoon, but you know what? There's enough douchebags around him. You can make a lot of jokes.
And you can make jokes around the environment that's around him, which involves.
And he's a nerd. We can make fun of nerds.
He's a nerd. I love that about him. I love a nerd. He's a tall, skinny nerd. I love that type. Thank you guys very much. Laughing Liberally, This Ain't No Tea Party is at the Midtown Theater in New York City, and it runs through May 22nd. We'll be right back.